Good morning, it's Dawn Clavasol with Stress Free Bookkeeping. I am reading to you today from Profit First for e-commerce sellers. So we started with the Profit First book in the Facebook group at the beginning of the year, and seeing as a lot of people are home now and having to figure out how to work from home, maybe entering into e-commerce, I thought that we would read the e-commerce version of the book. It's by a different author, but somebody who's worked closely with Mike Michalowicz as well. So chapter 1, the e-commerce struggle. In this book, I profile three. Okay, start that over. In this book, I profile 3 of my 3 e-commerce clients and share stories about how they transformed their business into profit-making machines using the Profit First system. While they're very different people, Carol, Mark, and Jeremy have one thing in common. They all love watching Marcus Lemonis in the TV series The Profit. Carol described the show's progress to me. Lemonis always wants to go over the books. He always asks, what was your revenue last year? What were your expenses? What's left? And a lot of people are underwater, and it's just amazing to me how many people have virtually no net profit or negative net profit. At the end of the year. I can't even imagine that, but it happens all the time apparently. They just keep putting stuff on credit cards and getting loans. One aspect of the show that interests Mark is just how appealing e-commerce is when compared to more traditional models. I watch some of these shows on TV like The Profit, which I love, by the way, where they poke around inside someone's business. They're running these brick and mortar businesses at 3% margin, and I'm just thinking, this is crazy. That's the beauty of an online business, the potential one, having bigger margins, and 2, not having the big overhead that you would have with a brick and mortar store. Jeremy tunes in to hear the types of questions and concerns that Lemonis poses to his entrepreneurs. I immediately think about my own business and how to avoid problems he's talking about, and if I'm doing things right. Sometimes I find myself thinking similar questions when I walk into business, like how much money are they making? Why aren't they doing the easy X, Y, or Z thing to make this better customer experience for other people? And I ask the same, how are they making money question all the time. In the Amazon world, I see sellers dropping prices too low. Carol, Mark, and Jeremy would do great on The Profit. They were using Profit First and their e-commerce businesses were thriving. I wish all my clients had stories with happy endings, but that just isn't the case. And as I work with clients, I see many that struggle as they try to scale their businesses. There are 4 primary barriers to e-commerce business owners' success. 1, believing everything will sell during the busy season. 2, relying on debt to grow business before a profit model is optimized. 3, lacking basic accounting and financial literacy. And 4, failing to make profitability a focus. E-commerce businesses are complex. First, managing inventory is critical, but you can't just look at your shelves and know it's time to order. Your inventory could be at an Amazon warehouse, in a prep center, on a boat from China. Excuse me. Also, there can be huge swings in cash flow depending on the seasonality of your product sales, inventory buildup types, and the need to avoid excessive storage fees. Then there are the unexpected and all too frequent occurrences, such as inventory loss at the warehouse, account suspensions, or other factors totally outside of your control, all of which require cash to weather. Having firm control over your finances helps you manage and grow your business while enjoying the lifestyle that you desire. In this chapter, I'll share more of Carol, Mark, and Jeremy's stories and take a deep look at the 4 main barriers to success. The busy season won't pay off your debt. Mark, founder of Efinity Studios, has been my client for 3 years. Like many other e-commerce entrepreneurs, Mike didn't exactly set out with a definite plan in mind. When I asked how he got started, he described his business as homegrown. When I started in 2014, Mark explained, I didn't really have an idea about what it was or what it would become. All I knew was I was hustling to find a way to make a steady income. I was pretty successful consulting for other people and doing some affiliate marketing and things. And I decided to launch one product on Amazon just to see what it would be like. 4 years later, here we are. I feel like a brand new beginner at this, although I've had some experience. I've grown a lot. Mark is a digital nomad. He currently lives in Thailand and travels extensively. E-commerce affords him this lifestyle, but not everything was optimized when we met. First, when we began working together, Mark struggled with his inventory decisions and ran out of stock on crucial times during the busy season. His books were a mess and he had cash flow issues. During his busy season, he had lots of money. Then he would run low and rely on his line of credit or limit his inventory purchase because cash wasn't available. Many e-commerce sellers are looking for a quick way to make money. They have heard Amazon businesses can be built and sold in a few years, so they get started, watch their business carefully, make modest profits in their first year. Then, believing more funds can accelerate the process, they begin to rely on credit cards, Amazon loans, and other non-conventional lending to fund inventory purchases. As sales accelerate, sellers start spending more on operating expenses as they attempt to scale their business. The infusion of cash to buy inventory was a temporary bump, and now they must replenish the inventory and also pay the interest on their debts. This combination of increased operating expenses, accumulated debt, and interest payments can spell serious trouble. A common belief among my clients is everything will sell in Q4. Our clients will borrow to buy inventory, and they believe they will pay off their debts with the holiday sales. While this can work, I typically see things play out differently. Clients buy late into the season, and their inventory doesn't make it into the Amazon warehouse in time to be sold. The items have no appeal in the following months and are subject to long storage fees as they gather dust. The gross margins are narrow at best because clients are not employing sound buying strategies. Those narrow margins that they have are getting eaten up by fees. A busy season is no guarantee of profitability. Year 2 is often a wake-up call. At this point, we dispel the belief that everything will sell at a profit and that borrowing is the way to grow quickly. My clients whose companies are growing profitability tend to grow them using their own cash. Many of them achieve significant growth in 2 years without relying on debt. Ignoring financial data is a fast track to failure. Carol Rains, owner of Emu Joy, was one of our early e-commerce clients. Emu Joy is an all-natural skin and body care business based on moisturizing and anti-inflammatory properties of the emu oil. Emu Joy is sold through its website, on Amazon, and on eBay. Carol's approach to business is practical, goal-oriented, and definitely seasoned with a little humor. Carol contacted me after reading Profit First, and she was a woman with a plan. She intended to grow Emu Joy and wanted basic bookkeeping services in order to ensure her books were current and clean as a whistle, all with a view to eventually entertaining offers to purchase her company. As we talked, I discovered that Carol also needed a way to easily understand her financial reports and feel confidence in her cash flow decisions. Our first task was to get her books organized. We started in August, but we updated the books going back to January of that year, which was a big leap for help to Carol. After a few months with Bookskeep, that's the name of the company that the author of the book owns. It's called Bookskeep. I had a profit and loss statement for the entire year, which was excellent. This is Carol talking. While having everything in order for taxes is wonderful, I find that the greatest benefit is being able to see my gross margin, my net profit margin, and my whole profit and loss. Those are numbers that I look at every month. Because many of the sellers have come from other careers, they don't understand the need for financial data or how to interpret financials. And many sellers don't have an accounting system in place, so they often rely on one of the apps that connects with Amazon. I call them open type accounting systems. These systems can track some accounting data, but most of them offer no way to reconcile with the statement provided by a financial institution. They can generate a profit and loss report, but not a balance sheet. A balance sheet shows the long-term results achieved by the business and gives a deeper insight into the company's financial health. Any business that has inventory should be monitoring that inventory on the balance sheet. Inventory is where much of your cash is tied up. And if you don't have a mechanism to understand the value of your inventory, then you won't see the total picture of your business position. Amazon can take about 30% from sales and fees, and far too many sellers don't understand how this impacts their gross margin. Some accountants incorrectly record the deposits as total sales, and this greatly distorts the cost of goods sold and by extension, your gross margin. In addition, many sellers rely on financial books that are cash-based and report all merchandise purchased as cost of goods sold. For a detailed explanation of cash, modified cash, and accrual accounting methods, see our resource page at www.profitfirstecom.com. This method does not allow you to track the gross margin profitability of sales against the cost of the inventory sold on a monthly basis. If sellers are losing money at the gross margin level, they need this information immediately. There are a host of reasons why both reporting and gross margin can be poorly managed, none of which will rescue the company if it's bleeding profit. If you're not achieving gross margin profitability, you are not generating enough to fund the profit first accounts. Even sellers who can understand profit and loss seldom realize the difference between profitability and positive cash flow. There are many accounts that do not show up on your profit and loss because they are balance sheet accounts. These accounts include your inventory, sales tax payable, accounts payable for wholesale or private label orders, and owners, members, distributions. The cash required to fund these activities must come from the existing bank balances, cash generated from your sales, or debt accounts such as loans or credit cards. Since these balance sheet activities do not show up on the profit and loss, but do affect the amount of cash required to run your business, it is vital to understand the impact that they have on your cash position. If you're taking more than the monthly profits from your account showing up on the balance sheet, you're living beyond your means for that month. Accountants can generate a statement of cash flows for you, but Profit First will provide you with an easily understood real-time system for managing cash so that you won't have to rely on what could be 6-week-old data coming in from your accountant. Running a profitable e-commerce business absolutely requires you to get a handle on your finances, gross margin, and your cash flow. To turn a profit, you must focus on profit. I've noticed that many e-commerce sellers struggle to maintain focus, an all too common problem for entrepreneurs. By nature, entrepreneurs are looking for the next big thing, but starting and growing a business requires a systematic approach that's sustained focus on key drivers of your business. Continuously changing software or training new approaches takes your attention away from the important revenue-generating aspects of your business. I can't count the number of times e-commerce sellers I've met who've cycled through, I can't count the number of e-commerce sellers I've met who've cycled through multiple coaches or mastermind groups, all advising different strategies that are at odds with each other. Many coaches advise that a certain percentage growth or revenue target is goal. The strategy is to get the goal. The strategy to get that goal is based on buying inventory at a certain return on investment. And such goals and strategies often suggest plowing all your profits back into your business or borrowing money to grow faster. If a potential client is on this path, she is at odds with the basic tenets of Profit First, and I've learned that we will not be successful working together. I'm not saying that there can't be success in the other approach, just that it's incompatible with the Profit First organic growth pattern, a pattern that has proven to work for my clients. Mark characterizes himself as a saver from an early age. He had the desire to be in better control of his finances, but just didn't have the right tools. To get Mark on the profitability path, we got his books in order, completed a profit assessment, and analyzed his cash flow during a typical month. We set up a checking account for his inventory spending, a savings account for a profit, in addition to his existing operating expense checking account. As Mark received his payouts from Amazon, he funded his inventory account based on the replenishment costs of the products that he just sold. He funded his profit account with 2% of his payout. These actions enabled Mark to understand where his cash was going and to set funds aside for the next inventory buy. By initially putting a small amount in the profit account, he made profit a habit, not an event that occurred at tax time. Once Mark got a hang of the Profit First system, he was off and running. It's easy to compare your business with other businesses based on what owners report on social media. I have had discovery calls with clients that lead me to expect businesses that are performing well. But when I examine the books, I discover nightmares rather than fairy tales. Entrepreneurs are optimistic by nature, but sometimes their rosy pictures fail to align with current realities. Profit must be a focus. It must be a habit. I've seen far too many clients struggle and fail in the e-commerce game because they don't focus on what matters most. Profit First shatters barriers to e-commerce success. Before his books were in order, and before he was using Profit First, Mark dealt with daily stresses and frustrations. Quote, I felt like everyone else had it figured out, end quote, he explained. Quote, and I was completely lost. I just couldn't find the right person to work as my accounting partner. I found lots of people who were told who told me they can handle my business, but when they got into it, they weren't equipped to help me sort through my challenges and get ready to grow. I had gone through periods of having a very flush bank account, and then I had a sudden 6 months later, I was using my line of credit because I hadn't prepared for expenses that were coming down the road, end quote. E-commerce businesses need the same basic accounting as traditional retailers. However, the reality of using selling platforms like Amazon, eBay, a seller's own website, coupled with the variety of merchant processors like PayPal and Stripe, it's far more complex. When you add in the need to track inventory coming from overseas manufacturers, wholesalers, or clearance outlets, there's enormous opportunity for confusion in the books. You need more than an extra set of eyes to make sure your bank reconciliations come out right. And you simply can't rely on any bookkeeper you find in the phone book. Mark knew he needed more. He wanted to grow Efinity Studios, and he needed an e-commerce specialist who understood how to prioritize profit. Much as Mark had, Carol found Profit First to be an enlightening approach to addressing the challenges that she faced. She explained how important gross margin is to her, how she really understands it. I find that the greatest benefit of having a bookkeeping service is being able to see my gross margin, my net profit margin, and my whole profit and loss. I look at those numbers every month when I get the report. I think it's extremely important for people to know their percentages. Percentages are more important, really, than knowing the dollar amount of profit at the end of the month. It's the percentages that are more telling. Still others, like Jeremy and Julia Gross, are doing well and simply want to move to the next level. Jeremy and Julia own Ruby Roo Baby, an e-commerce business that is focused on Amazon and has a small presence on Shopify, the Walmart marketplace, and one minimal one on eBay. They are in the baby niche, focusing mostly on keepsake items like baby journals, milestone stickers, and baby shower-related items. Their products are unique because they're inclusive. We have a Christian, Muslim, Jewish, and Hindu holidays included, and our binding shows you how to rip pages out that are not applicable to you, Jeremy explained. The language we use is inclusive, so it could work for heterosexual couples, homosexual couples, single moms, single dads, or adoptive parents. We put a lot of time in designing for everybody and having it flexible, kind of like choose your own adventure. Jeremy had their financial books in order and was successfully managing inventory. He had wanted to make the transition from part-time Amazon seller with a full-time day job to working in his business full-time with no other source of income. Jeremy's challenge was to find a way to generate enough income from Ruby Roo that he could enjoy spending more time with his wife and young children. We worked together and used Profit First to set up an owner pay account that, after 6 months, allowed him to jump to full-time e-commerce seller and more present family man. He was particularly appreciated this flexibility in the past few months as extended family across the country have had health issues. Carol, Mark, and Jeremy figured it out, and so can you. You're not alone, and no matter what choices you made in the past or the challenges that you're facing now, you can do this. I know it's possible because I've helped people dig themselves out of holes so deep that they couldn't see the light. You may think that your challenges are insurmountable, but I promise you they are not. I'm going to say this one more time because I don't believe I don't just believe in the Profit First system. I believe in you. Yes, you can do this. Let's get started. Now it's your turn. Are you ready to take the steps necessary to be permanently profitable? Get started today. And then there's a quick guide. I think I'll see if I can load this or get you guys something similar so that you have it. So there's just a quick start guide, but we will do chapter 2 next week, same time, 10 o'clock a.m. And I try to keep it under 30 minutes for you guys so that you can just listen real quick and then get back to what you're doing. So chapter 2 is going to be Profit First, Engineered for E-commerce. So look forward to it. Again, I'm Dawn Clevisall with Stress-Free Tax Season, Stress-Free Bookkeeping, and I have the Profit First group online, which is Profit First Business Owners. Look forward to connecting with you there. Thank you.